Hello, my name is Bosko Popovic. I'm a health coach and I specialize in effective maintenance of your bioenergy field, which is absolutely necessary for you to stay mentally and physically healthy. In this video, I'm going to talk about the stress and, more importantly, how prolonged stress affects your bioenergy field and in all levels of your energetic existence, and how that in return then progressively affects your body over the period of time, and what you need to do to start to notice that you are stressed, even though there are no physical symptoms being felt in your body. But that's good, because if you notice this in the early stages of a stress development or the acute stress being developed, it always starts in your bioenergy field, which is hidden from your conscious awareness because it's still not being replicated in your body. But nevertheless, if you become more aware of that, you will then have a much greater position to protect yourself against possible longer term negative effects of stress. So basically, why is this important? It's very simple. Stress forms an integral part of the life that we know. So if you're living in the urban areas, which great majority of us do, it is literally part of your life. Of course, if you live in some remote island or somewhere and you're basically enjoying the life of Riley, then it might not be so a problem for you. But if you're just like any one of us who lives in highly urban areas, this might be of interest for you to know. And if you find this video useful, I would appreciate it if you could smack a like, so that this video can come and can be actually seen by other people who might benefit from listening to information that's going to be shared in this video. So before we start, we need to understand that the stress in the medical terms defines the condition that is basically imposed on a structure, system, or an organism that is always exerted by external forces, which are then inevitably destabilizing inner equilibrium in your body. And this is a medical explanation. So let's put this into some context so we understand what this is all about. The external forces that we're talking about in this particular example are not really plural. They are in a way how to express themselves, but in fact it is literally one entity that has many, many facets. And this entity is called emotions. Now, as a human, you are governed by emotions because they form an intricate part of our energetic being. Because they directly, how can I say, communicate and control by ego, and we will touch into that later in this video. So why is this important? Emotions have a large energetic pool, which for instance, can be excessive if you choose to dwell in a certain emotions for a prolonged period of time until they become so-called moods. That actually has a quite significant impact because of the intensity and the length of time that this energy has been literally drawn out of your bioenergy field. And we can always say that energy is indestructible because it circulates all the time. But what happens with the energy, quite intriguingly, is if the old, how can I say, the energetic highways in your bioenergy field and those subtle, smaller kind of like tracks and what have you, in which those major highways are connected, are not open through the excessive emotional exertion, they tend to narrow down. And that narrowing down is quite slow process. The reason why it's slow is to protect us from sudden mental and physical misbalances that are usually following the excessive energetic exertion or the sudden slowdown of the flow of energy. What effectively means at a subcellular level is that with the reduced energy flow in your bioenergy field, your cells in the body are now left to guess. As if before, when there is a full energy flow, information is free flowing between every single cell in your body. So the whole system knows how everything works as one system. Through the exertion of the emotions that usually come with the stress, that particular information flow tends to get narrowed down, and that creates this slower or even incomplete information exchange, and there's no problem if this is something that happens even frequently, but on shorter bursts. So it gives the time to your system to recuperate and go back to default. Where the problem starts is if the actual intensity of the emotional, how can I say, outbursts or even involvement, conscious involvement with those emotions for the longer period of time, that then involves and starts to create those, how can I say, energetic breakdowns, not particularly breakdown, but then again, you're kind of like narrowing down and you are kind of like interfering with the flow. And with interference with the flow, you're interfering with the flow of information that goes between all the cells and from the higher levels of the of our being, to which we're connected through our auric field. And because that is the flow that keeps our body or our inner ecosystem in the body fully functional. Now I'm going to deviate now a little bit away from the stress and say that the prolonged stress really actually also contributes to the phenomenon called early aging. Purely for what I've just explained, because of the lack of information that is needed to flow freely within your body. So your cells do not have the proper information which how to divide at what speed and so on and so forth. And that leads, if it prolongs for the longer period, if it goes for the longer periods of time, it then leads to misfunctions, initial stages, and thereafter it then becomes more complicated because then they start to basically guess the missing information, and this is where we're starting to see misalignments, and the physical deterioration in the body, purely because everything is now slowed down and the body is not catching up properly with its own revitalization because there's no balance. So the only way to effectively control stress is to learn how to be balanced at all times. And this is something I'm going to talk about in one of my next videos on this particular topic, because it's quite a topic on its own, and it's not really what we're going to be talking about here. But that is actually the idea, which means when you're balanced, you are actually observing your inner state, and I'll just give it very briefly this. So you're not either dwelling into the negative emotions, or you're either dwelling into the positive emotions, because both of them get you out of balance. So one of the things that I want to say is that go back now to the topic of stress and how you can actually sort of start seeing the first signs that you are under attack from this silent killer known as stress. And that is, if you're a careful observer, you will actually feel that from time to time you are now dwelling into negative thoughts and the emotions. And also, on the other side, you will also notice that in order for you to combat these particular negative thoughts and emotions, you're now consciously seeking how to beat them and how to actually neutralize them by venturing into getting yourself artificially elated, preoccupied with something that you deem is going to be good for you, interesting, amusing, loving, or whatever it might be that you reckon is going to soften your unconscious venturing into the so-called negative emotions that are giving you those negative thoughts that are giving you sort of negative emotions, and then through that particular dwelling you're now starting to venture into more dangerous areas of you becoming kind of like driven into the state of more controlled negativity. And this is something that you certainly do not want to let yourself to get into, because that is the path that leads you directly into you becoming stressed at all times. The danger comes as well if you're practicing this and you're actually feeling that something is not right, and you are then pushing yourself to entertain yourself or doing whatever it is you need to do to soften this negative trend that you're noticing that's coming to you without your particular invitation or approval. You're basically jumping from one end of the spectrum to another end of the spectrum. So it means that you're going from the excessive minus, which for the purpose of this explanation is negative thoughts and emotions, to, in your opinion, controlled manner on a positive so-called side, which is again leading you onto from one end of the negative side onto the positive side, which is again other side of the spectrum. So where that leaves you, are you balanced? No, you're not, because you are yo-yoing from left to right and back to left and then back to right, because inevitably what happens in the way and how we are actually programmed is that every time you experience one end of the actual emotional imbalance, in order for you to quickly balance that, you need to go on the other side in order to be able to return back to point zero, which is your imagined neutral line from which you should be actually staying in. This is what I'm going to talk in next videos. And through yo-yoing from one end to the other, all you're doing, you're drawing enormous amount of biological energy out of your bioenergy field. And reason for doing and why you're doing that, you're actually affecting your higher levels of your energetic being, which are the causal body and the astral body. This is according to the old Indian um, um, sort of like a medical art, or whatever we're going to call it, called Ayurveda, which actually works quite intensely and observes the behaviors or the energetic output in the higher levels of your bioenergy field in order to be able to understand what is going on in your physical body. That is very, very important to know, because the actual higher level, which is the causal level, houses literally everything about you that is not, how can I say, to some degree present in your physical body, but sits out there in the form of the IT explanation as a cloud. And imagine we're a computer, which we are, and the actual astral body is, we can actually call it a server, if you wish. And the actual cloud that goes beyond the server, the actual the position that goes beyond the server is a cloud. So it holds enormous amount of data, enormous amount of information, which is who we are. But yet, due to our current programming and our current level of conscious awareness, we are not able to comprehend that. Maybe some people are, because they're more advanced. They vibrate at higher levels and so on and so forth. So they have that higher levels of self-awareness, and through their ability, psychic ability, they can actually access the information and maybe even decode some parts of the information that they can actually translate, depending on their vibrational values and where they are on the so-called consciousness, on the other grade of universal consciousness. But it's all really about maturing and graduating spiritually to be able to read, understand, and comprehend the higher levels of your ethereal or energetic being, which is you. The purpose of the importance of the body is that body in itself is our spacesuit in which we experience this reality. Due to the design that has been created, that has been used to create us, the body is literally highly insulated from all sorts of energetic attacks and so on and so forth that can normally destroy it, through the works or the hierarchy of energetic layering, and in so the energetic information and information share, layering, and I would say it's a hierarchy. And as such, a body is on low level, as being lower is much more protected, because if we were that easy to destabilize energetically, then we would not be having a long experience in the body. Although our can argue that we're not living very long, which we're not, but nevertheless, if there was not this shield that I'm trying to talk about and draw your attention to regarding stress that is actually meddling with and weakening this particular shield, we will be living a lot longer. Purely on the grounds that when you are fully grounded and aligned from within, or centered, balanced, information flow, come back to the beginning of the video, is normal, and that actually gives you a younger outlook, appearance, youthfulness, more energy, more stamina, and you actually do not see what we call the process of aging as obviously as you would if you do not pay attention to your energy levels and you allow the stress to actually accelerate the process of aging through the constant energy depletion. So this is very, very important. And the one thing that you will notice is always quite interesting is that when you start to get stressed, of course, it's not going to affect your body at all. You will know that. But what you will feel is that some connection of yourself. There's a bit of murkiness. There's a bit of cloudy thinking. There's a bit of disorientation going. You're not very good in terms of getting your thoughts right. Your focus is not really 100% there. Your decision making is not as sharp as it was before. The main reason is because what I just mentioned at the beginning of this video is that the information flow that comes from the higher levels of your being is now being disrupted, or he started the process of disruption. And this is something that you need to be very careful, and I would even go as far as to say acutely aware, because if you can start noticing that from the moment you're being very sharp, very observant, very sort of like good in making immediate and good decisions for you, suddenly you're seeing this is not the case anymore. You shouldn't wave it off and say, oh, this is life, it'll get itself sorted. No, it won't. Because if you allow it to carry on in the way it is, it will get bigger and bigger and bigger until it starts occupying your astral body, in where you are now going to experience distorted thinking, feeling, so you're going to get emotionally disturbed, and also you will not be able to effectively shift and experience pleasurable events or pleasurable things. This is now descending now in energetic value to your astral body, but through that actually starts to now creates a bit of a cloud over you, or a bit of a smoke screen, in which you're now not really sure where you are as you were before you had the clarity. Now you don't have that clarity anymore. You're now emotionally disturbed easily. You can get out of balance. You can now fire up. You can get angry. You can get emotional disturbance. At the same time, your focus is not as good. You find it difficult to relax, and it's basically leading you into the state in where you're kind of like not losing it, but you're not really happy with yourself in the way how you are engaging, first of all, with yourself, with your family, with your work colleagues, and literally your environment. Any little thing can get you out of balance. Now, this is a big no, and at this point, you really now must realize that you are being attacked energetically through the excessive stress that has been caused by your inability to effectively control your emotional experiences. Very, very important. Now, this is not about controlling emotions, but this is about understanding where you are in that ladder and how your emotional journey actually can either be pleasant or it can be unpleasant. This is the difference. And you can only have an pleasant emotional journey when you know how to stay centered, balanced, so that you do not dwell on the either side minus, which is negative, or positive, plus, which is positive emotions, because any of them would then have to make the significant energetic corrections on the other side. And as you continue, sort of like they become bigger and bigger and bigger. It's like a ripple. And the more you start shifting from one end to the other end of the spectrum, the bigger the ripple is going to become. And all that will affect your overall bioenergy field, and that will then start to impact your physical body. And this is the third and the last stage that you are now going to see extreme tension. Your shoulders are going to stiffen, your lower back is going to start to give up, you will have lack of energy, you will not be able to sleep, you have shortness of breath, high blood pressure, you will not be able, your digestive system will start to cause you problems. And then in the more advanced stages, you will start to have problems in the kidneys, depending if you have heart issues, it will then cause you heart problems, and the list is endless from this point going forward. But those are more advanced levels of stress. So the most important thing for you to become mindful of is the ideal state that will make it very simple for you to understand is to be neutral, not to be elated and not to be negative, just to be neutral, to be relaxed and to be focused on the moment. This is basically what you need to do, is to basically make sure that at all times you are grounded and fully focused on the moment. You fully know exactly what time, where you are, so that no negative thoughts can start to make you and hyper you up emotionally in advance of something that is happening, that might be happening to you. That is what the precursor of stress, and that precursor of stress starts with the fear. Uncontrolled fear leads to anxiety. And anxiety is your biggest problem. So in order to revert all that, you need to go backwards all the time, which I can teach you, which is what I'm doing in my program, is to take a step back always. But even when you're taking a step back, because the life and the stress coming on, you will have making a step forward, which is getting stressed. But it's not the problem. For as long as you know where you are at any moment in time, and being able to logically process the levels of your energetic damage to experiencing any moment in time, you will then be able to know what you need to do in terms of managing your condition and sort of steps you need to take in order to constantly correct yourself. And over a period of time, that will become part of you. So at the beginning, it'll be difficult because you will be paying too much attention, and it can be draining because you're drained with the stress. Now you need to be paying more attention on how to combat stress, what you need to do. So all of that will be overwhelming, but it's only temporary. until you start creating that particular mental ability by memorizing what you need to do, basic things. Through memorizing basic things, you would then be able to memorize more advanced things as you go forward. And as you do that, then all that will become part of your lifestyle. And in that case, you will start to effectively neutralize the stress that you are experiencing. So this is one of the strategies that I would highly recommend. And in the videos that will follow, I'm going to share with you various techniques and strategies and tactical ideas that you can use that actually builds on what I have actually disclosed in this particular video. The one thing I'll ask you now before I finish is, if you liked this video and you found this information useful, please smack a like down there or subscribe to my channel for the more videos that I will post soon. And of course, I would appreciate if you could put your comments down on anything or that you would want to know. Just put down in the comments and I will answer as soon as I can. All information about me and my website will be down in the description, and see you in the next video.